Everybody, Solis, Brian Neely here with the Art of Airbrush, and we had posted about the lettering, the word family, and we were going to post up a quick video on how we do it and maybe some pointers. I went through already and I kind of critiqued and nitpicked some of the pictures that were already posted, but you know, there's really no right or wrong way. It's the only thing to keep in mind is that it's got to look good, it's got to be legible, and the little subtleties are really what's going to make the difference in your artwork and in your lettering. So that's where we're going to go. So what we got here is I went through and I did 3 different variations real quick. Obviously we did the print F, we did a cursive F, and then we did a stylized version of that. We did family, family, family. This is a quick, you know, pretty straightforward. Some of the things that I want to point out about this particular one is that obviously it's a print F, but it's still kind of swirly, a little scripty style. It's not like crazy fancy like this one. The next thing you really want to look at is spacing. These spaces between the letters should be pretty consistent all the way through the word. Now, a lot of times, if you've only got one word on a shirt, you're going to want to really stretch this out. Unless it's a really long word, then you're going to want to squeeze all these spaces back together. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to push them so far together that it becomes hard to read. So spacing in between each letter is critical. Now, if you notice, this area here has a lot of negative space, but this little cross section kind of fills that back up, so it pushes it back this way. Some things to keep in mind is if you go through and you single stroke this, and you've got more spacing here and here, you can thicken this way and you can thicken this way to get that space to even back out. Or if you've got too narrow of an area, well, you can go back and thicken all the other ones back up so that your spacing is still consistent. Consistency is key. The more consistent you make them, the better off you'll be, and the more natural and appealing to the eye it will look. Some other key points in this particular word is that you want to make sure that these are pretty darn close to being about the same height. It's okay if certain areas go above the line, and this is really predominant in the letter R. The letter R, when you do it, it actually has the loop is typically right above all the other ones, and that's not something you normally see unless you look at the old sign painters' work and really dig into that aspect of it. But these, for the most part, should all be about the same height, as well as the same angle for the downstrokes. They should all be the same as well, so it should be consistent. Again, consistency is so key. And let's see what else. Oh, last but not least, the downstroke thickness. Now, the downstroke thickness should be the same all the way down to the very bottom of the stroke, and then taper back up. All the way down and then back up, all the way down, back up. If you're going to make it different, then you need to make it different for every single letter in the word. So it's okay if you stylize and you make these, you know, thicker at the top. My red's got a nice clog in it. But if you make them thick at the top and thin at the bottom, then you need to do it for every single letter in the word so it stays consistent. That way it looks like you did it on purpose. Alright, so moving on to the next one. It's pretty much the same idea, except I just changed up the F. I went with the scrolly, scripty F. One thing to point out with these types of letters, these really big, scrolly, scripty ones, is that typically at the bottoms of them, they're thin. So your downstroke comes, and then it gets thin, and then it comes back up again. So remember that, and don't thicken this area up too much, because it'll look funky. It'll add a lot of weight to the bottom of your letter. So those should be thin, and a lot of times you'll see them where they're thick, and they're not supposed to be. Last but not least, here's my really, really stylized version. And this is the same fundamental word as this. The only major difference here is that we go back and we add these sharp points in the corners. There. And then we consistently keep the points at the bottom of the upstroke turn. Calligraphy style lettering. So you take that idea of a flat surface and draw that line down and then bring it back up. So it's a real sharp edge. So really the fundamentals still here, but you just come back in and you just make a point, make a point, make a point, make a point, make a point. One thing to keep in mind too is if you notice on these ends, there's a little
kick out right there. And there's a little kick out, and there's a little kick out right there. This differentiates your M's from looking like every other U or I or whatever N. It could look like an N, especially if you've got a M N combination or an M N I. All these up down up down up down up down can be really hard to read. If you don't put something here to differentiate this letter from the next letter, or separate it, or break the word, you can easily have a word that's really hard to read. So I hope that helps everybody with some of the things that I do as far as my lettering goes. Remember, consistency is the key. Same angles, same distance, same thicknesses on all your down strokes. If you do that, you'll be good to go. Alright guys. Art of Airbrush. This is Art of Airbrush. Hope you guys
Bitch, I go hard like the boy from 300. You think y'all kick it? Well, boy, we puntin'. Young money, baby, we the shit. Big stomachs, no ceilings. Is the auto tune on? Good. Young